One chilly evening, my husband and I were nestled at home, cozy and content. Little did we know that peace would soon be shattered by the terrifying intrusion of 3 masked intruders. It happened suddenly. Without warning, the sound of splintering wood echoed through the house, sending shockwaves of fear through our bones. 3 ominous figures stormed in, their faces obscured by darkness and menace. In that heart-stopping moment, our world turned upside down. As chaos erupted around us, I found myself thrust into a nightmare I could never have imagined. Pregnant and defenseless, I stood my ground, desperate to shield us from the impending danger. With every fiber of my being, I pressed against the lounge door, a fragile barrier between us and the unknown. The struggle was intense. I felt the weight of their force against the door, each blow reverberating through my battered body. Bruised and trembling, I fought to hold them back, praying for salvation in the midst of despair. Beside me, my husband stood, his eyes ablaze with defiance. But our courage was met with cruelty. In a flash of horror, acid rained down upon him, leaving behind scars that would haunt us long after the night had faded. In the midst of the chaos, a flicker of hope ignited within me. With trembling hands, I reached for the phone, desperate to summon help before it was too late. The seconds stretched into eternity as we awaited rescue, our hearts pounding in unison with the rhythm of fear. Finally, the distant wail of sirens pierced the night, a beacon of hope in our darkest hour. But fate had already dealt its cruel hand. The intruders, alerted by my desperate call, vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a trail of shattered dreams and stolen peace. In the aftermath of that harrowing night, we found ourselves grappling with the aftermath of trauma. The wounds, both physical and emotional, ran deep, a painful reminder of our vulnerability in the face of evil. Yet, in the midst of our suffering, we found solace in each other's arms, a beacon of light in the darkness. Together we vowed to rebuild, to reclaim the sanctuary of our home from the clutches of fear. Though the scars may fade with time, the memories remain etched in our hearts, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And as we face each new day with courage and determination, we hold fast to the hope that one day justice will prevail and our home will be safe once more. I remember that morning vividly, as if it happened just yesterday. It was around 7 a.m., and I was deep in slumber when a loud bang jolted me awake. At first, I brushed it off, blaming it on the pesky cat tree downstairs that always seemed to be toppling over. I rolled over, trying to drift back into the realm of dreams. But then, something unusual happened. My elderly cat, usually content in his own corner of the house, came bounding into my bedroom in a panic. He leapt onto the bed, seeking refuge under the blankets. That sight alone sent a shiver down my spine. He hadn't done anything like that in ages. As I tried to make sense of the situation, dread washed over me like a tidal wave. 2 shadowy figures emerged at the top of my stairs, their presence sending shockwaves through the air. Time seemed to stand still, yet race by in a blur of frantic motion. In that moment, instinct kicked in, and I found myself screaming at the top of my lungs, "Get out of my house!" Without a second thought, I lunged forward, tackling one of the intruders onto the front lawn. But he wriggled free, disappearing into the darkness with the speed of a ghost. I tried to memorize the license plate of their getaway car, but the numbers slipped through my fingers like sand. I cursed myself for not grabbing my phone, for not being more prepared. In the aftermath of the chaos, I realized the extent of the ordeal. My arm throbbed with pain, and I discovered that I had fractured it during the struggle. Blood trickled from cuts on my feet, remnants of the splintered wood from the shattered front door. Adrenaline coursed through my veins, numbing the pain and heightening my senses. The experience was surreal, like stepping into a different dimension where time and pain held no sway. It was a fight-or-flight response like none other, a primal instinct taking over in the face of danger. Despite the chaos, I emerged relatively unscathed, but the scars, both physical and emotional, lingered long after the ordeal had passed. With a newfound sense of urgency, I took action. The very next day, I installed cameras all over my house, determined to fortify my defenses against future threats. It was a wake-up call, a reminder of the fragility of safety in an unpredictable world. And as I looked back on that fateful morning, I knew one thing for certain. I would never underestimate the power of preparedness again. My name is Becca. There's this guy who used to stalk me, and one night he broke into my house with his buddy. It was around 3 in the morning and I couldn't sleep. I had my little dog with me and I grabbed my phone. I went down to the basement, which was more like a cellar, you know? There was this trap door in the floor, and stairs led down to this small space with the furnace and hot water tank. I managed to get us into the crawl space. I had some cardboard covering the door, so when it was shut, they couldn't see it. I turned my phone on silent and texted my best friend, asking her to call the cops for me. Those 15 minutes felt like forever, but eventually the cops showed up, arrested the guy and his buddy, and found me hiding. Turns out, these two jerks had what the cops called a rape and disposal kit with them. It had duct tape, lube, sex toys, a handsaw, and heavy-duty garbage bags. It was terrifying. They were planning something really bad. The cops took them in for conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit rape, breaking and entering, and some other stuff I can't recall. The guy who had been stalking me blamed everything on his buddy, so his buddy got 5 years in prison. He's still there because he can't stop acting crazy. The stalker got a 4-year sentence, but only served about 3 years because he threw his buddy under the bus and got out for good behavior. I got a restraining order against him, but he violated it a couple of times right after. Things quieted down for a while until he got a girlfriend a couple of years ago. He fed her some twisted version of the story, making himself out to be the victim and me the bad guy who sent him to jail for no reason. She ended up sending me this really mean message, threatening me. So of course the cops had to talk to both of them. Since then, I haven't heard a peep from either of them. Thank goodness for that.